Okay.
Got to put the disclaimer up too. There we go. And I think it's working. All right, we're on. Welcome back,
Awesome.
everyone. Been a great week. We've had lots and lots of fun scalping this nice volatility that finally came to fruition. I mean, we've had just flat days um, for almost the better part of a week, and then all of a sudden we get this breakout move, and it was fairly easy to predict in some ways, and then fairly um, similar to other setups we tend to use for measured moves for the general market, QQQ and SPY I'm talking about. And in that, we have other ways to arrive at very similar price targets, and that's why we invited guests from the Big Short platform here to kind of open with us and talk a bit about what the platform does, as well as a little background on the founder, Tay, here. He primarily trades SPY options, and that's his bread and butter. So the platform really focuses on doing that very well, and it gets a lot of information into how to get it. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah,
Sure. Thanks for the intro. Go ahead, Tay.
yeah. So right now, we're hanging out right around this dark pool support, which you could see on our charts from the little gray circles, and 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 there's also we can see that there are also a lot of downward pointing shadow bars. So that means that the selling that's happening is primarily Momo and retail selling, and that's the kind of selling that tends to reverse. Um, on the other hand, if you Jeremy, if you could go to Ultraflow, which is the circle icon, the circle on the menu.
There we go.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Now, if you could click Sim Search, which is the graph thing um, next to the 5 1 hour one day.
Oh,
In the upper
Yeah,
left, there it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this just shows that these are just the most similar historical intraday patterns to the current day. So it shows that it's supposed to be a downtrend continuation day just purely in terms of price action. But our because of the dark pool support and the fact that a lot of the selling is retail selling, this is probably I would guess that this is probably not going to be the case, and that we're gonna see more of a bounce or at least something more bullish of an outcome than what SimSearch is showing. But as always, the incoming data could change things. But for example, right now on this current 5 minute bar, if you could go back to SmartFlow.
sure. That's the eyeball, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so the most recent 5 minute red bar, it's a downward pointing shadow. So that's still retail selling. And yeah, and there's a golden sweep that just came in. And as you can see from the green line, uh, a lot of people are buying call options here. And the call options are kind of scaling in. And strangely, we're not seeing an effect on the price, despite a lot of people buying calls. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
And
And if
this
you look
is
at that blue hill, because it's pointing up, on Big Short, we differentiate between call and put buys and sells. So that green hill pointing up, or that blue hill pointing up means that calls are being bought right now.
gotcha, and that's retail buying calls there.
Well, that's everybody buying
Ah,
calls.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's all the calls being bought in the entire stock market.
And this is kind of bear with us moment. This is middle of the day. Typically, most day traders are done by about this time. We can still
Mhm.
kind of spot what the midday swing is going to be by basing it on previous price action, of course. And this is starting to turn interesting, where people kind of see that it's likely to be a bottom here, and they're looking for either a half back or a bounce back to the high or the 86 6 fib. Million ways to find targets. So you can see that sweep coming through where it looks like the uh, the majority of the institutional traders are just selling options to them, both sides. It looks like, and then we should see probably a reversal in the next few bars. I would imagine either reversal or continuation. So that's kind of,
We're going to see either a reversal or a continuation. That's brilliant.
yeah, right. So we don't have any bias on direction just yet. So it's like this is where you wait for the consolidating range to break and then trade to break. So this is where, okay, we're likely to see a setup soon. It's either going to be continuation or reversal. So kind of neat. I love the way this platform kind of simplifies things as far as finding all information in one place for one thing, and then two, I mean it pertains to not just day traders, but you guys have many members who utilize this for swing trades as well.
Yeah, we do. We have 5-minute, hourly, and daily time frames. So our swing traders they tend to use those longer time frames to find those um, larger patterns.
Definitely, and I can see we're tapping on support, so we're either going to break it and come back and retrace some of this, or we're going to hold here and give a consolidation overall for the day, and then give half back or hit that 86.6 fib back to the top or whatever you end up getting. But usually it ends up forming a wedge. So like you see, this previous price action here, it kind of doesn't necessarily set the stage for it, but it gives you an idea of what to look for next. So pretty cool stuff. I do a lot of stuff with just pure price action and many different ways to dissect it, many different indicators, or even drawing ideas to find targets. And it's always impressive to find things that can kind of automate that process for you. And this is where that platform exactly does, is it automates a lot of that. So you don't have to draw anything. It makes it less work. I love it.
Exactly. And just so your users can see, can kind of understand what we're looking at here, the top pane, those are just, that's the candlestick pane, and we visualize dark pool prints directly on the chart, so users can easily spot support and resistance. We say if there's like a cluster of dark pool prints that occur below the current price, that tends to act as support. And when it's above the current price, especially when they're clustered around the same price range, that price range tends to act as price resistance.
So you can
And
kind of
then
just
below, Mhm.
place your pivots there. I mean, that's pretty much
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
doing. It's automating that
I
process.
love to do that. And then below that, we've got smart flow. So that's where we differentiate between smart money and retail. So those shadow bars, that is showing retail either buying or selling. And then the dark red bars, those are bars where smart money is selling while Momo is buying, and the dark green, that's where smart is buying while Momo is selling.
Gotcha. So that's where this one was.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is
that
something
was a big.
resolved pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
like this morning, the first smart flow bar right out of the gate was just a bunch of Momo buying. So a lot of our users just shorted the market right out of the gate because of that first upward pointing shadow bar right there, the one immediately to the left.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah, that one. And because of that, a lot of our users were short, and they all got out of their shorts when the shadow bar started pointing down, right at the bottom there, the big shadow bars.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, that one right there. That was the one where they got out, and yeah, I mean, all of these are in terms of dollars, not volume. So
Right.
the bigger the number, the more significant it is. So definitely, you want to focus more on the large bars rather than kind of the small noise in between.
Gotcha. So focus on the big moves and don't get beat up in the chop.
Yep.
Good stuff. I'm gonna do a little comparative thing. I'm gonna pull up my SPY chart, and it's awesome because like we can arrive at very um, similar price targets in many different ways always. But oops, I have CRM up here. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated all of a sudden. Let me break out the 2 hour. So um, we got to talking yesterday, kind of doing a preliminary call to set up for today, and I was talking about this a
Oh yeah,
whole.
yesterday I was on the call with Jeremy, and he was saying that Sky is going to go all the way back up to 576, and we just about almost got there. So I was very impressed by Jeremy's call out from yesterday.
And
It's good.
I know I could be wrong sometimes, and I was like also looking at the possibility if that fails, we got all these support areas to go and refer to. So it's like, well, there's our bull price target, and the fact that we ended the day on a bullish note yesterday, sorry, over here, kind of gave us the clue that we were likely to break above, and it was simply just utilizing the concept of drawing a box around a measured move. So this whole thing, as choppy as it is one primary, and then there's your accumulation. I like to kind of split the mean of high and low in that accumulation range to stack my secondary box move to kind of give us price targets for the bullish move out. And it was pretty neat correlating this yesterday because I've been focused on QQQ's chart for the past couple months here because it seems to be a little smoother than SPY lately. So it was interesting to kind of collaborate. I redrew it this morning, so I ended up deleting it. So pardon my out of context here, but there's the target. So essentially, we ended up making a half or slightly more than half a measured move up from there, and 576 was about where a pivot would be if this was a primary and secondary setup. So yeah, it made sense to find that target, and then today we're likely to kind of take profit from that, return to a support area. So we'll probably find support right around here. And this is where I was saying you watch for either a reversal or continuation pattern here and trade the break. So when you go into a shorter time frame, well, it's starting to try to be a reversal, but we definitely closed the gap, and that's about where support is. So, if we're going to see a reversal, it's going to be here. And it'll either give half or whole back of the opening impulse here. But if it ends up being a continuation or a bear flag or something like that, we end up with this being a primary, and then we get a half or whole move down. And if you look left, you can find all those pivot areas. And if we compared it to the big short chart, it would probably do much of the same. We'd find dark pool prints around those levels and find the pivots. So it's cool. It's a platform that can kind of automate all the complex stuff that I walk through every day with my live streams. So I do dig it. We got some stuff on our watch list too, man. I know Matthew's itching to talk about a few of the call outs from last week, and we can review a bunch of killer trades we've made, man. Holy smokes. It's been a great week.
It has been, and I mean, I'm sometimes better to be lucky than good. I'm also short SMCI. I mean, that wasn't any, no insight there, except I've got a short model that shorts things that rip, and SMCI ripped the other day, so we bought puts. Now they're being investigated by the Justice Department. So.
Beautiful.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
On Tuesday, I kind of went solo. You had a meeting that came up or something. So I kind of took over, and I popped out a few that we were already looking at, and then just kind of reiterated a few setups, and then I went and added a couple of them. And we've been talking about MU for a while, and MU has just been
I mean, MU is beautiful.
Just golden, man.
Up 13%, very nice.
And we talked about, looking left, and we looked way out to a weekly chart to kind of find previous support areas. These are measured moves we've traded before, back when we were beating on Kramer. And now we're looking for some basic reversion trading. I mean, there's your market structure, go to the daily chart. Oh, wow, big giant double bottom. Here's your liquidity zone. We've crossed it. So next target is the halfback, which is right at that 120. I mark it in purple. We're analysts now, so we mark our stuff in purple. But,
there you go.
Essentially, MU is just kicking butt, man. And we were talking about this back in a couple weeks ago, even just starting to accumulate that L2 on that double bottom setup, and as soon as it kind of cruised through that mean, I mean, it was just blast off, man. Overnight, just absolute gap, rip your face off, and we love it. I haven't even looked at Kramer's stuff, but was he saying sell this?
I mean, I would imagine. I have not looked at what he said, but Anything second order AI right now is crazy. Barron's had like 4 articles this morning on AI power generation. I spoke at a conference yesterday. Hedgie came up to me. He was talking about AI power generation. My son works for a hedge fund. They're buying AI power it is crazy out there now for anything second order AI. I still think we're in the early innings, but I'd probably wait for some dips at this point.
Yeah. NNE was another doll. What do you call
NNE
that?
is great. Yeah, anything nuclear. I mean, NNE has been great. Oklo's been great. SMR has been great. CEG, which I didn't own, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
okay.
all those names are just going crazy. This morning, there was an article in Market Watch about some ancillary hardware names to make the AI chips work. UCTT and ONTO. I mean, those are going crazy now. I wish I could get in, but I'm not gonna.
Oh, wow.
I'm not gonna try to catch them.
Very similar to the MU setup. Yeah, I wish I would have looked at this one. That would have been a great one too, because it's really cheap to enter there. I mean, come on, you could have got in like right around $35. Nice. Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
those chips are gonna really start pulling now, and we've also had quite a few targets on Nvidia that we've pretty much nailed. My chart looks messy as hell, guys. This dope all matters though, and currently we're in the swing above half a measured move, so we're likely to hit that previous target we printed out 130 pretty soon here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I continue to think dips in NVIDIA are a gift,
Yes,
and you have to be in NVIDIA. The action at the moment is in the second order names, but I mean, NVIDIA is still something that you have to have,
still pulling, and
or 2x NVIDIA is something you have to have.
yes. The 2x NVIDIA, so NVDX, which is your baby. You run that thing.
That is my baby, as is now the micro strategy, which is,
That thing
I
is
mean, up
phenomenal.
17% today.
That thing is
That
phenomenal. I'll
thing's
get to that
crazy.
chart next, but we got here's NVDX, and I haven't kept up the dope on it. Played right through that liquidity zone and hit the angular. I mean, we're just dead on with that one. I deleted my wedge that I drew, but I saw that angular. It was right there. I'll get around to eventually doping the NVDX chart a little better, but NVIDIA showed all those targets anyway, so I track it there. But yeah, awesome stuff. And then another one you had, let's see, MSTU. This thing is just ballistic, man. I mean, right from the get-go on IPO day, full on. We're outside of 1-for-1 measured move on top of this bar today,
I mean,
and
we launched at 25, and that was, what's today, Thursday? I mean, we launched last Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember which, but I mean, 25 to 38 and a half.
that's pretty epical.
Yeah.
And again, there's that measured move concept. Just draw a box. We're in step 3, and we're probably going to hit a 1.5 first. Maybe find some resistance there briefly. Let me draw the next box, because this is kind of our MO as far as price analysis goes. So we can print a short-term target pretty easy there. So we're looking for 169.50 or 60 or so, close enough. And if we start to see some momentum run off there, we'd expect accumulation. And like I said, we'll either get an accumulation pattern for continuation or reversal. As you were saying, any pullback in NVIDIA has been a gift. This might be the next one to give us one last pullback, but look further left. That is one giant bull flag we're playing with here, and this is the last leg of it before it'll either break out and rip a face off and give us this move on the secondary, or it'll, give the half back signal. So I think we're biased a little more bullish on this one than looking for a long-term bearish reversal or bearish, half back move. I think the bulls are taking this one to the finish line. It's looking so
Yeah, I
so.
mean, I think we break 130, at some point soon. I mean, we may have a pullback in all the AI stuff. I mean, it's gotten crazy, but anytime someone tries to say, oh, Nvidia's overvalued, this and that, I remember back, I mean, I'm older than you guys. I was a broker in the 90s, and we used to always wonder how the heck Amazon, which was just an online bookseller, could be trading at a valuation more than Barnes and Noble and Borders combined. And we just thought that was crazy. And now looking back, it's like, well, it was trading at too low a valuation. Borders is gone. I don't even know if Barnes and Noble. I mean, I guess they exist,
They
but
are they still on OTC? I remember them
who
getting delisted.
knows?
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, buying Amazon back then, I mean, probably you put $100 in, you're a millionaire right now. So,
yeah.
I still believe we are in the early innings here.
Yeah, I mean the market just over time, you look at the long-term trend, and everybody forgets to look at the weekly and monthly charts. It's been up and up and up. Yeah, it has its pullbacks. Yes, it has its brief periods of bearishness, but overall the market just keeps climbing. So in
Right.
general, these companies with success combined with of course population increase, more people to sell to. Yeah, there's
And,
nowhere.
and also, I mean, on all this stuff, if you listen to us and the education you guys give out, the education I give out, you learn about asymmetrical trading.
Yes,
And heads you win, tails heads you win a lot, and tails you lose a little.
exactly.
And that is the goal. That's how you set up these trades. So I mean, even if Nvidia goes down 10%, oh well, not that big a deal.
Right. And it's pretty interesting to see some other sectors moving around too. And I can almost see like it happens every time. You got well, I call them the Chicken Little crowd because they're always saying, "Oh, the sky's falling. We're heading for a recession," or "God, it's going to be the most bearish market we've ever seen." Or come on, guys, just trade the damn chart. Get your emotions out of it and just trade the chart. It tells you everything you need to know. You can go and be a fundamental analyst, and that's fine. You be like Kathy Woods or Kramer there, and you'll still be profitable overall, maybe, but you're gonna be wrong about a lot of your
Well,
callouts.
and again, back to what I said about asymmetrical returns. Maybe we are about to hit a recession. Maybe we're about to hit a bear market. If you set up things asymmetrically and you are agnostic between being long and short, so you've got some hedges on, who cares?
Absolutely.
What the market does doesn't really matter. Again, I mean, I was so psyched about Micron, the biggest winner in my portfolio are my SMCI puts right now.
Right? I mean, I was even outside the box on Tuesday, or maybe I talked about it Thursday, where I mentioned Southwest Airlines. That's up like 10.5% today. And it's
Wow.
just basic price action market structure. Hello, primary, secondary, easy, easy money. But in a bear market, if you learn how to trade inversely, it's funny how the market seems to take the stairs up and the window down. If you trade it right, you make money faster. So bring a bear
Yeah.
market. If the sky finally does start to fall, uh, I'm gonna love it again because if you look back at when I first became a moderator at Bullishbrs, it was during a bear market, and we were freaking destroying it in there. I mean, we were making some killer trades, and fast, like day trades were just absolutely destroying it. Now we're kind of in that melt up situation where things are kind of going slow, and we can still do well. And we'll bide our time. If they want to bring us a bear market, please do. We just make money faster, you know. So in the long term, yeah, the market will generally eventually go up. But you look at stuff like this, rotations everywhere. And this was one that I was looking at. Just a simple move. There's no reversal here, but there's a primary and there's accumulation here. It's a continuation pattern. All it needed to do is break a wedge, There it is. Find your targets, trade from one to the other, rinse, repeat. Don't forget to take your profit. Pay yourself first. It's kind of the MO of a trader. We make money by trading moves in the market. We thrive on volatility. We just need to know how to spot it, and that's what we teach. Coming into a couple others, I mentioned CRM. Same thing. I mean, we've actually been all over this one. You can see I've got just miles of dope on this thing, and it just keeps trading. Everywhere we say it's going to go, it's going to go. It's easy. We make it look easy as analysts, and it all comes down to your discipline as a trader to be able to trade these moves. But finding price targets, that technical analysis part, with time, with a lot of repetition, becomes second nature. And we give it to you right here. Well, we kind of give you the easy button, and then there's platforms like Big Short, and you can plug equities into that platform. By the way, should I hand it back to you guys for a moment to walk through being able to plug in different
Yeah, let's take a look
equities?
at NVIDIA because we were just talking about earlier today.
Sure.
Yeah. So as you can see in the morning, although the price was flat, we can see that there's on net balance there was more call selling, and then that's why that green line, which is just kind of like the aggregate of all options being traded on the market, overall people are making more bearish bets. There's a little bit of put buying, and there's a quite a bit of call selling, and that's what led to that bearish downswing afterwards. And then around the bottom of the day, you see it's kind of ticking up a little bit, and the green line's turning back up, and that's what led to the bounce. And if you remember earlier in the call, I was talking about how even though historically down, this opening range breakdown is supposed to lead to a downtrend day, it's my feeling was that it was going to be a lot more bullish of an outcome, and that's because of the dark pool support and the shadow bars. If you go back to SPY, and if you see SPY, it's yeah, it went up. We had all the right bullish signals. We had the call buying, we had the dark pool support, and we had the shadow bars, and yeah, so it looks like that was definitely at least a local bottom for the day.
Nice. And
And
you can see all the
yeah,
dark pool buying it right there. Very cool.
yeah, yeah. Every time one of those pops up, you know that the market makers are still in the business of bumping up the price, and and they can really control the price really well in the short term. They're very good at painting fake prices, especially during periods of not too much volume. There's the exception to the rule is when you get uh, you get stuff like GME where the retail crowd just overwhelms the market makers and they just lose a lot of money. But by and large, most of the time, the market makers are the ones coming out on top, and that's why uh, that's why these manipulation signals like dark pools and whatnot are so important.
We posted a meme on our socials a couple weeks ago. I think it was, maybe it was a week and a half ago. It shows this picture of a guy looking in a mirror and saying, "You are not exit liquidity. You are until you learn price action." Sorry, that's just how it is. And this pretty much plays that out. You can see what retail's doing in real time with this thing, and it's really cool to be able to get signals just based on what retail's doing versus what market makers are doing. And
I would assume a stock like DJT would be perfect for that because my guess is retail is
oh
often
gosh,
exit liquidity on that name.
yep. Oh my gosh, you're right. That thing, I love to run puts on that thing once in a while when it pops up. It's like whack-a-mole, but
Yeah, could you actually load up the daily chart for DJT?
yep.
Yeah. So you see the biggest upward pointing shadow bar of this entire past 3 month period or whatever. Actually, I think it's 6 months. But yeah, let's highlight the largest upward pointing shadow bar. It's I believe it's September 13th.
Whoops. September 13th. Oh, sorry. Ah, shadow bar. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So the shadow bars are what you kind of want to focus on. You don't want to focus too much on the color bars. But yeah, so for the shadow bar, it's pointing up. is the biggest pointing one, and immediately afterwards you get like a 6-day downtrend after that, and then let's look at where the biggest downward pointing shadow bars are. Right, it's those two right there, and after those pop up, we get some support, and we get some short squeezes there. So so yeah, I mean, it
So like
works on every ticker, and it's always valuable to know order flow in addition to price action.
politics aside, I joke about that. I'm like, oh, you can see Soros money moving it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, even Soros money can get squeezed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We've seen that, and you get enough apes in the market. You damn right. It can really, really squeeze. Speaking of Wall Street bets, I mean, we kind of we're maintaining some communication with some of the leaders in both the Facebook side of it and the current Twitter side of it. No longer really the Reddit side of it, but we kind of talk to those guys a little bit too. And it's funny because I'm always kind of coining that phrase. I'd love to teach the apes how to be gorillas and start to learn how to sell options and make income on stuff like this. And having a really direct connection to options flow can really really help you with that. But I also like my favorite doll when it comes to option strategies is oh dang it, hang on, I'm on my other chart. I mixed up again. Sorry. I gotta put this in. Okay, so TNA, I wonder if it gives us these leveraged ETF levels, and then Matthew, I'm gonna get to yours in a moment with this. You can kind of see where all of the flow is on this thing, and if you kind of realize that here you see, I'm just going to assume that's mostly put selling. And then the next few days we might see this swing back up. I almost wonder if I can correlate my wheel trading on this app and have it match the performance that I've been making just utilizing price action, and that's kind of a cool thing. So if we plug this in, and I'm going to put in VDX in here next.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of shadow bars on this chart. The biggest shadow bars that I see are kind of
Yeah,
right
there's
before.
one.
Kind of obscure. There's one here, there's a little bit of one here.
Yeah, yeah. When they're that small, then it's not as tradable of a chart. But that's why we have price action and other things.
Right. I can see some of them on the 5-minute. There's a nice one there. Oh wow, there's a nice one. I sold puts on this thing yesterday, and I'm already looking at a pretty nice profit on them, and they're out of the money. But I can kind of utilize some automation, so it might be a little sooner. Like use a 5-minute chart to kind of see times of day where it's selling, but comparatively, of course, look at the daily chart and figure out where the range is, and just sell the edges. That's what I've been doing. I sold the 41 strike, October 4th expiration. So I wonder if I stick NVDX in here, what happens?
Only good stuff.
Oh yeah, look at those shadow bars. Nice. The price
Oh,
is
we have the split, a weird split thing on the left side of the chart. Maybe let's make the windows smaller, the window view. If you could drag the lower left, yeah, so we could see.
aha, there we go.
Yeah.
Now we got range. I was saying those candles looked a little funny.
Yeah, when it comes to these sort of derivative ETFs, the flows, they behave a little bit different, and the reason for that is because for the derivative ETFs, you have market makers and also the ETF managers themselves kind of creating shares out of thin air and using that to hedge with the actual.
That's not just levered ETFs. That's any ETF. The
Yep.
managers don't
Right.
create them though. Just
Yeah,
for clarity. But the market makers, if they can't match off buyers and sellers,
they make them.
they'll create shares to give to buyers
Right.
or
right,
redeem
yeah.
shares to give to sellers.
And that's why the flows are gonna be a little bit off on some of these derived ETFs. Yeah.
But you still get pretty good signals. I mean, there was a nice shadow bar here. You know, it
Yeah,
did pull
yeah.
back a couple days, but then it gave us the goods. Just a little bit inverted from the norm. Cool stuff. I mean, the more I dig into this platform and look at all the metrics in it, the more I love it. It's just it simplifies a lot of things. We had one other equity to talk about. I thought. Let me see if I can find a darn chart here. There we go. One that kind of made an interesting move. Oh man, I am having a time trying to get to my there it is, my watch list. This is one that I'm kind of I'm not so much sized in, but I'm watching it as you were saying, Matthew, earlier, one of the sub chip makers or the ones behind the scenes, so to speak. This is Western Digital.
What's
no
that,
one,
WDC?
yeah, and no one was really looking at it, but here it is. I mean, there's your primary, there's your accumulation. We're right up under that liquidity zone. We talked about this way back in Kramer days. This is where we beat Kramer up on it. But
Yeah.
right back to that same liquidity zone, and target's pretty easy, 72.20. This thing is darn near made that right there, 71.92, just up to that edge. This thing is still in play from that long ago, and
Yeah, I mean, if people are sniffing AI, this thing is going to run. I mean, just look at, like IBM.
yeah,
IBM used to be your grandmother's stock. This
yep.
thing-
And
There's a
IBM, back in the day, I used to love shorting IBM because like, man, these dinosaurs are never gonna make money. But you know what? They're kicking butt today, dude. I mean, this is just glorious. Look at that swing. Oof. Primary, secondary. We're into a 1.5. Probably going to target about 226 to 228 in the next move, I think. Very cool. But yeah,
So
it's.
there's
Oh,
there's
go ahead.
another fundamental story going on in the market these days, and that's the China stimulus. So they actually decided to hand out checks to poor people in China, and then so that's why Chinese stocks are surging. I really like MLCO here.
Oh,
It's
MLCO.
a Chinese casino stock, and
Whoa.
yeah,
Holy
yeah,
smokes. They gamble.
and I think I think it's still got some upside left. I mean, if you pull it up on Big Short, there was a ton of call buying, just really unusual call buying before the huge gap up here.
Nice.
Yeah, so you see that big blue hill pointing up, and
Whoa.
yeah, but
Um,
I mean, I think this is they're kind of the government's they're putting their money where their mouth is. They talk a big game about making everybody equal and supporting the poor and whatnot. And they're actually handing out checks, which, to their credit, it's not something the the U.S. really does, philosophically speaking, other than, through tax credits and whatnot.
right.
If AI does what everyone thinks it's going to do, the U.S. is going to have to start handing out checks. But that's
Oh yeah, absolutely.
that's down the road.
Yeah,
Agreed.
thus far, I mean, historically, when the U.S. prints money, they give it to the banks, but they're going to have to start giving it to the lower income people as well.
Dude, look at all those shadow bars. My goodness. They were ready for this. That's cool. And yeah, retail took the horns on that one. That is interesting. I mean, you kind of think of the metrics of, what you can go read Rich Man, Poor Man, or you can kind of analyze society in general, and you find that the consumer is just a nicer way of saying the people who spend any money they get, and they'll live paycheck to paycheck for, as long as it takes for them to realize that, hey, I need to pay myself first. Long story short, you start handing out stimulus like the Chinese government here, and a bunch of it dumps in the casino. That's kind of it sucks. It's a social experiment, I guess, but it's going to hold true, and people are going to be chasing that dream, and there it is in plain sight. That sucks. I wonder what happens if the U.S. starts to take that metric and then AI does what it says it does, where we're going to be in 5 years, it's going to be a very interesting adventure coming soon. So maybe those Chicken Little crowds will finally be right, but we like to profit from, not necessarily failure, but we like to take advantage of discount prices, and there's a lot of things that can take shape in that, and then if we start seeing the inverse from the Chinese equities, and we start to see them kind of climb up, it makes sense. It finds a balance point, and watching the Chinese market can be important to that, because you see that when things tend to balance, they tend to change direction. So if the U.S. was declining and the Chinese market was taking a swing up, and then all of a sudden they throw stimulus at it, and the whole snowball gets rolling, things will rotate. So it's just kind of
we're watching China closely. I'm not in anything. I mean, I trade FXI and short-term mean reversion. I got out of that yesterday. I mean, nice gain yesterday, would have been a nice gain today too, but that's mean reversion for you. Just what I mean, keep in mind, China's hard to trust, and typically the time to buy China is when nobody wants to buy China. I start to get nervous when everybody wants to buy China. But I mean, we'll see. You also, I mean, just like you don't fight the Fed, you don't fight the PBOC either.
right. I got a comment on the YouTube channel asking me what my moving averages are. I just listed them here. White is the 8 period, blue's the 20, green's the 50, and the 200 is yellow. And I don't necessarily use moving averages much in my trading, except for one. I tend to focus on the 8 period, just because I trade short term. I'm a day trader at heart. I scalp futures and things like that. But over time, when you start looking at the long-term charts, it's a good idea to put them on there. And Matthew uses moving averages all the time. He follows a 10-day and a 20-day and a 50-day and a 200, of course. And we're talking together. I'll put them on my chart typically. But essentially, we can find really quick crossover points in that price action, and you can see, moving averages do work when they all converge. And then here we have the buy signal right here, just based on moving averages for this particular.
And just on that, I mean, there are a lot of different ways to use moving averages. I'm a mean reversion guy. I
Right.
love undercut and rally moves. You undercut a key moving average and then rally back above it. I don't day trade anymore, but that was my favorite. That, and I mean, day trade and swing trade discretionarily, that was my favorite. And then you just use the moving average as a stop. So you have a very close stop, and and you've got an asymmetrical trade, close by stop, unlimited upside.
That's the way to be. And then, if you want to really see something fun with day trader stuff, all right, I'm going to go one last thing, and then we got to kind of kick off in about 10 minutes. But I trade QQQ primarily, and then I'll use that to also correlate price action in the NQ for scalping futures. My 5-second chart is usually where I'm at, and pre-market stuff. This is all the stuff we traded today, and I have a series of fan lines. I'll teach a little bit about fan lines. You can probably go search some of our videos explaining how to use them. But it's really cool when you find exact points in time where you can scalp stuff, and you can just use moving averages for that. You don't need to be able to draw any of this stuff, but your accuracy is so much tighter when you find some sort of way to measure expected impulses in the market. And then if you were to add options flow into that, it would be even better, which is why I kind of brought the Big Short platform to light here on our broadcast. It just basically gives you almost an automated cheat sheet to be able to find all these price targets very quickly, and not have to do the work, but learn to do the work too. You got to understand price action to trade price action, no matter what you're using. And that's kind of what we drill down to with the bullish bears. So like if you find yourself being new to understanding price action, come check us out. Even just a month, give us a month, and we'll show you some stuff about price action that you probably wouldn't pick up much other places. and then go back and find whatever platform you like to use to trade with or to use as an indicator platform. I like to use Webull. And it'll blow your mind how simple price action trading can be over time, and then apply that to the fundamental stuff that we do. We look at bigger moves, longer price terms, and technical analysis still applies to it. And while all of the retail analysts out there, and I'm talking to you, Kramer and Kathy, and the whole lot of you, you go and make these call outs based on fundamentals, they're great. Eventually you're right. If you're saying, hey, buy this, and then technical analysis says, no, this is not a good time to buy it, you just wait, and you're more patient than any of those guys. And then you find the bottom, you catch the bottom, you trade, you enter that position, and then you're ahead of their game. It's not that they're wrong all the time, it's just that they're jumping the gun on things, and it's eventual they'll be right, but it's going to be beneficial to you as a retail trader to be able to preserve capital, because not everybody can sit and take heat and lose, watch their position lose a lot of value while it's still settling in those support areas, and then eventually get into the rhythm that the so-called analysts are putting out there for you. So take that step, go learn how to trade some price action, and we will absolutely get your back on that. And all of us here in this call, we're here to help you with it. So, hands down, price action is king, and if you learn it, it will treat you well. You will be a better investor, a better trader, whatever you want to do with the market. That's your base. Oh, do we have any other call outs? We kind of
One other name that I'll mention that I missed, but I'm watching for a spot. It's Flowserve, FLS. They make like stuff that the nuclear companies need to use to generate power for AI. Big move the other day. I've been kind of hoping I'd get a dip in here, but nothing yet. I was watching it and got a little greedy as far as spot goes, and then I think Market Watch or Barron's had an article about it, and it went up like some ridiculous number, which it just again is a lesson. I mean, a lot of these names, I know we talk about trading. A lot of these names, you just want to be there because you have no idea when something is going to happen. And if you're trying to trade it, you miss out. And unfortunately, I'm a trader at heart, and sometimes I try to trade these names, and and this happens to me.
This is one of those charts where it's like it's not very interesting to day traders because it's fairly low volume. I was looking at the shorter time frames, and it's like just very ticky tacky. It does make
It's probably not going to be low volume now that people have discovered it.
Yes, for sure. And then we're talking about it. It's probably going to pick up even more.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But you look at it from a trader's point of view, and like I said, it wouldn't be very interesting at first. But now we're looking at it and like, hey, yeah, primary, secondary, easy stuff, guys. And yeah, I think I kind of like this name. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Thanks for pointing this one out. What's your prospect for outcome price action on this thing for near term and long term? It looks like it's accumulating now, kind of at a resistance area.
Could very well be. You've got that 52-ish area. I'm just going to hope I get some sort of pullback. I just can't psychologically buy something when it went up from 48 to 52. What's that, like a 10% move,
right?
And in one day on a basically what's an industrial name. If it was a tech name, maybe. When industrial names start moving like tech names, I want to wait for things to settle down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we've got some volatility here. We need to accumulate and see where it goes from here. I was just kind of laying out while you were talking where about the middle ground was, and the reversion trade's done. It did exactly what it's supposed to do with market structure. made the primary secondary, and then blasted through that reversion trade of about $46. Couple easy marks we can see here. So for us analysts, if we're looking to long this thing, I'm looking to see it get back to about this liquidity zone. Liquidity zones are an interesting concept, and I've been able to kind of simplify it. People will talk about supply and demand zones similarly, but not exactly the same. I look for longer term candles, and on SPY and QQQ, I'll look at the 2-hour and the 30-minute for volatility just to find those liquidity zones. But on something like this where it takes a lot of time to get places, look at the weekly, sometimes the monthly chart to find those zones. But here's where we look. We look for the biggest candles in the trend at the end of the high or a low. Sometimes it's a mean. And you find that if you just mark a box around that wick, drag it over your current time frame, there's your liquidity zone. You can see there was accumulating bars within that zone pretty readily in spite of the wicks. And here we are making the rest of that measured move out and finding resistance here. So later, this will be an upper range liquidity zone. Those I'll mark in blue. We're giving you education here, guys. So we can also mark, an equal step down is right under this pivot, which is the mean reversion. So if we stay in this range and we start to accumulate and break out, we'll either get a 1.5 or a 2-for-1 measured move out of it after accumulation break. So stack another box, and I bet you that takes you up to this zone, previous highs. How about that? To the number. So market structure does its thing, and this is pretty readily analyzable, and pretty much everything right up to IPO day, you can usually find market structure follows through. It's kind of one of the go-tos for technical analysis in the long term. And then you break it down to the shorter time frames. There's your day trades and swing trades. All you need to know is where those zones are, where those prices are expected to be. And then I always talk about putting the words half and whole on a post-it note and sticking it to the edge of your monitor. And always note that halfway there, between this zone and this zone, there's a pivot. So if we break down here for accumulation, we're expected to be still bullish if we maintain this range or this liquidity zone. It's still feasible to be bullish in the long term. If it breaks it and starts to go into this zone, well, we can expect to pull back, sometimes go to the next pivot, which is the reversion target here. I like to mark those in white. And we can pretty much find every A to B zone we want to trade in every time frame just by that. And then we can look at the candles themselves on a 5-minute and find range too. So all the same, every time frame, it all works the same. And market structure, even on a 5-second chart, same deal. It's almost always apparent. You're going to find accumulation zones. You're going to find similar patterns. Get that repetition, understand it, and then apply it to long-term charts, and it works exactly the same. Good stuff. I like this name. I'm going to keep eyes on it.
Yeah, I am too.
A long time ago, I remember the last time we had some stuff popping up in the nuclear family, Lightbridge. I guess they were kind of an innovator for different cooling rods or something like that. I don't know what the deal was, but it was kind of a similar setup to this one, as I recall, and it flushed a bunch of people out on the initial hype wave that brought it to the high, just like this, and then it got eaten right back to a reversion from the previous move. And if it follows through with that, you get hype waves, or you get Kramer bars, or whatever liquidity you have that just pops into the market, a lot of chasing, probably by retail. You'll see that it's inevitable almost that it gives half back and then it continues on. So it'll flush out a bunch of people who jumped the gun on it. Again, following those analysts out there, the Kramers of the world, so to speak, gets you in trouble that way. And if you're not patient and waiting for the follow through on it after you see everybody chase their ideas, you get the better entry. So that's the whole point. And this is a pretty nice dividend paying stock to boot. So, hey, catch any break you can in there. It's a gift. If you want to be a long-term investor and hold this thing forever, get a better entry than everyone else. And then eventually the dividend will reduce your cost basis to nothing. I love those.
And also asymmetrical risk.
Yes, sir.
Lots of ways to use options to structure this trade.
Absolutely. And then if you're a long-term investor and not so much into trading, especially when it comes to options, it's kind of taboo for some of those really long-term holders who don't necessarily manage their own portfolios very much. A strategy you should know, and you should at least get to learn when it comes to options, is the collar strategy. It protects you from any time hype chases it up and you get a bad entry. It protects your downside while making you income to reduce your cost basis. So look that up. The collar strategy is your friend. All right. Any others last minute?
No, I gotta hop in a couple of minutes and get on another call.
Cool, man. I'm going to do one last one on CRM and call it a day because that's setting up. CRM, we're expecting a break of this angular resistance, which we got yesterday, and we hit that pivot target. This is that half move I was talking about. And if we start to stretch our wings here and start to get some good bullishness above this 277.40 area, we could finish the week pushing up to the next leg, which is resistance here, about 287.40, and the ultimate target is about 295. Let me throw one there and make it in purple so it's my own analyst mark. There we go. All right, I'm going to wrap with that. You guys all have a wonderful day, and including our guests on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us and explaining the platform. And we love you guys, man. That platform rocks. Just get to learn to use it, and you guys will thrive with it. So good stuff. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.